Eddie Dwyan Hodges, he was born on September the 26th, 1933 in Watauga, Texas. He died on April the 5th, 2011 in Benbrook, Texas. His father was Herman Walter Hodges. His mother was Virginia Irene Faulkner. And his brother is Wiley Ray Hodges. And there were twins. There was Eddie and Teddy. And Eddie eventually got married to Janice Winnell Robbins, and they had kids: Brenda Janice Hodges, LaDonna Joyce Hodges, Terry Lynn Hodges, and Tony Ray Hodges. So now we're going to sit here and talk about Eddie Dwyan.
Wiley Hodges, a brother to Eddie Dwyan Hodges. As my memory starts with the death of my mother, Virginia Irene Faulkner Hodges. My mother, she passed away in 1935. She, at 18 months prior to that, had twins. Eddie Dwyan Hodges and Teddy Wayne Hodges were twins. 18 months after they were born, the mother died. The depression was on. My dad had to get rid of the farm. He couldn't take care of it and me and the kids. So then our grandfather, John Rayford, and his wife, Miss Faulkner, then she wanted to take care of Eddie, the twins, and I at her house west of Watauga on their farm. And Dad went to town and found a job. In the meantime, well, he worked for the stock show and the rodeo and all that, day labor. We lived with our grandmother Faulkner and Grandpa for about 6 months, the twins and me. Teddy Wayne took sick, 18 months old. He had spinal meningitis one evening. Dr. T.C. Colley came over there from Keller. He was told what it was and how dangerous it was, and he died a few hours after he went into convulsions. So then they had the funeral for him, and he's buried in Birdville Cemetery along with all of Wiley Will Potts' original home plot. There's all of his kids really is buried and all in there. That's where he's buried with my mother. When he passed away, Eddie was about 2 years old and I was 9 or 10. Dad came out to Watauga to the Faulkners and took us into the north side on Rosen Street and had rented a house, a duplex. And he was working, and in the summer we played. Eddie and I would go up and down 28th and Hazel Street on skateboards. We'd go down to the stockyards, and Eddie and I would go in. They wouldn't let us. They'd run us out of the saloons down there, but we spent a lot of time in the summer down around the stockyards and all the cattle barns. We lived there for a while, and Dad then rented a farm southeast of Everman, Texas, 80 acres. We moved out there at the farm. And over the years after that, he had various women occasionally to live and take care of us while he was working. We had several different ones. They call them, I guess, the housekeepers, whatever. We moved to that farm, and then we moved back to town when he opened up a cafe on Riverside Drive there in Fort Worth. Then they back to the Wiley Hodges again, a continuation there of Eddie. We left the north side. I went to Sam Rosen School, and he was too young. He's 7 years younger than I am. He was the baby. We went to that rented farm out there, and it was 80 acres. We lived there for a couple of years or 3, and then Dad became acquainted with Mary, and they decided to open up take over a cafe and a little grocery on Riverside Drive. That didn't work out after a couple of years or so. We went back to the farm, and then Dad, of course, we planted cantaloupes, watermelons, peanuts all the time, and we sold them. We had cows, lots of chickens, we sold eggs. Eddie would help gather and do the work, and Eddie did not like the farm work. And so then he grew up to a point, he went to Everman School. I went to Everman School. They had one school bus from Everman that would come around and pick us up. It had an old wooden body, an International engine. So we were on the east run, so we'd make that, and then the old bus would go on the west run and take them over around the west side. Anyway, now I became of age of 16, I didn't get to finish school. Eddie and I then were together at that time, and during the summer I would go over on where they run the thrasher and thrash grain at the harvest time, and Eddie would go and help sack the grain out of the thrasher as it was harvested. Now then, about that time, I met my wife, Tiny Marie Martin, and then we married in 1943, December. Eddie and I left the home, and Eddie was still with Dad. Dad had become friends of a lady that was a neighbor down there that she was never married, and she lived with her aunt and her two sisters for a while, and that's Derry. So at that point in time, after I married, I didn't have much contact with Eddie because I went in service. I worked at Double Seal for 2 years, a ring company in Fort Worth, and I was inducted. I went over 2 years to the South Pacific, around in the Philippine Islands during World War II. And I lost track of Eddie by then. I came back, and then we picked up Eddie and his family, like on weekend visits, and with his 4 daughters, and etc. So I kind of lost track of Eddie then. So over the years, Eddie and I would always have dinner dates or go somewhere. He was always busy on a truck. When his first truck, he started driving with his father-in-law, Adrian Robbins, and he started driving open road trucks for various companies like Frozen Food Express. He bought his big trucks and all that, and he was on the road for the rest of it till he retired from dying. So Eddie then, and I didn't get to be with him a lot, but he had a liquor store out on 377 west of Benbrook, and his wife Winnell lived there, and they ran that for many years, and he was on the truck deal. She passed away, and he then was by himself. Eddie then, within about 2 years, had met a lady at the church singles place, and they were very close friends, very close, companions, etc. And then the next thing I remember that they called me and said that they had tried to call him by himself there. They wouldn't answer. 2 days later, the son-in-law went over there and found that he had had a heart attack after he'd taken a shower, and he was on the floor. So then that's the end of Eddie that I can remember, other than the funeral for him.